Okay, so this will probably close out the weathering the HO scale locomotive series because I want to show this isopropyl, the final phase that I do, right? So just to summarize then, this particular model locomotive has been weathered with quite a few layers. I should have used it as a demo. And before this application, I think it was in part 3 you might see it, where I really liked it, but then I flat coated it and it kind of went away. Not all of it, so I put in another water-based white, dark sea gray, burnt umber. Just a couple layers of wash. I let them dry a little bit in between, so there's 3 light washes on there. Just sort of played around with it a bit, with moving the flood marks around and so on. And then I did the same on the fuel tank. So I'm going to start with the fuel tank first. So what you can do is you can just pour some on if you want. It doesn't really matter. And if you're patient, we'll see what will happen. So then what I do is I use quite a bit here. And just let the isopropyl start to work a bit. And you can move it around a bit with a brush. Just soften the. You just want to soften the water-based paint that was layered on there. Use lots of isopropyl. Just soak it down. So we want to reactivate it a little bit. You can move it around a bit. It'll start to build up a little bit of almost a gray earthy tone to it. Just goes dirty, right? You can work it like that. You can see what's happening there. Looks like it's almost cleaning it. Soak the whole tank down because you don't want just like an undesirable flood mark. But that I want to keep. See there on the side. And I want to show you one other thing to do. So here we have Tamiya, dark yellow, and earth. I'm just going to use a little bit of earth while this is wet. Very, very thin earth. You just play around with the dilution factor. That's really what you do. It's probably easier to demonstrate, but it's a lot easier when you're actually doing it. And so what's happening here is you're just moving it around, see, until you sort of like coax it along and just see what happens. Just watch it. And when it dries, you get unpredictable results, but the results are almost always desirable. And if they're not, then you just work it over again. So I'm going to leave that now and let that dry. See, layer, another layer, right? And we're going to see what that looks like, okay? I'll be right back. Okay, so now I'm starting to flood the roof with the same isopropyl that was tinted from the earth from the fuel tank. Just sort of dropping it like quite a bit. Load the brush up and just flooding it, right? Just do small area at a time, like in this case the top of the rain lips and See, these sunshades weren't airbrushed. I just hand painted them along with these little winterization covers here. But, you know, you get enough weathering on them, they blend right in. Can't go wrong with earth. To me, a super thinned, to me, earth. Can't go wrong, really. See what's happening there? That oxidization. Doing that on its own. So here's an issue right here that I forgot to clear coat. See? I want to show you this because see that? That's what happens when you don't flat coat it. It'll eat it right off. So I'll have to redo that, but it's okay. See? But where there's obviously this has been clear coated a few times, you see it won't eat through. It'll only reactivate the water-based paint, see? But in this case it's eaten right through that watercolor, that Vallejo. So that'll have to be redone. This side I didn't, but I'll just leave that. Look at the roof, the oxidization. That's quite severe. But you know what? You can make a lot of that go away with Tamiya flat, even from the bottle. If you take their Tamiya acrylic flat, make sure it's stirred up and I don't have any on the bench here right now, but and then you just paint over that. You can make a lot of that, just tone that right down so it almost all goes away. But in reality, alive, that looks really, really cool. Yeah. So you never know what you're going to get, right? Here's some on the hood. Just dabbed in a bit here and there. Some isopropyl, just see what that does. It's oxidization, right? That's what the alcohol does. It oxidizes the paint. And those different colors in there, and you get a different look, a varied look. It's very distinct too. It looks much better live, maybe. I mean, I don't know how this camera is. It's not bad, but I'm liking that on the roof because this unit was very, very heavily weathered before it was repainted. It's a nice effect though if you're doing like grain cars or something like that, or rolling stock. The more you practice this particular method, the better you get at it. You can sort of control it somewhat. Like you learn to. You can't control it completely, but it's like herding cattle, sort of. You just keep it all in one area and just move it around, but you can't control the micro so much as the macro. But I really like it. See there, I can take a bit of that away there. See, go back at it. I'm going to move some of that. See, watch. See that white, the severe white? Some of it's going away. See that? It's leaving this little micro paint peeling effect. It's impossible to get that effect with chipping solution. Not like that. See? See how that changes that? Okay, so you see how heavily oxidized this is? Of course, I added some earth, right? Now, we don't want that maybe, right? So this is what we can do with this. Watch. Take a little bit of isopropyl. Don't have it soaking this time, just wet. Watch what happens here. Start to remove some of that. Just feather it out, feather it down and out. Here's the scary part, but the most rewarding. Isopropyl alcohol. Just heavy, lay down, wash it downwards on this tank here. Just move paint, you sweep it away if you can, and then leave what you like. When you feel that it's right, you just let her go. Yeah. I like that. Right there, this side, I'm leaving this. You just keep playing with it until you get what you like. This is going to look good on this side. I like that. Okay, so here's after the isopropyl wash and it's dried. I really like the way this fuel tank turned out. See that? I mean, they look like that. I have photos of CN units, and they have this, I don't know what it is, the gray primer, a combination thereof, or an oxidization on the tank that sort of runs like that. And that's just from the methods that I've shared with you, right? I really like that. That stays. And then this side didn't quite turn out that way, although it has its own randomness to it. I don't know whether I could just keep working that, maybe. You can just keep taking chances with it. Take a little bit of, just a tiny bit of earth. But, the trick is too is to not just leave a wet spot. Like you almost have to. I mean, you can if you want a flood mark, but if you don't want a flood mark, then you got to wet the whole surface. But I like around here, around the fuel tank. I like what's going on there. And I really like this roof now. This roof is right where I want it. That's the way they look. If you ever take photographs of trains from an overpass, and we never see the roofs and the tops of the long hoods and stuff, and that's what they look like, the older units. They're just sun bleached and oxidized. That's the way they look. And why not paint them like that? Because we're generally viewing our model trains from above anyway, right? We see the roof. So I really like that for this unit. I do. I'm happy with that, but it took a while, took a lot of work, but it's worth it, right? The best rewards are the ones you work the hardest for. So that I like. And you can see what's happening on the walkway here, see? I reactivated that too with isopropyl alcohol. Just little pinches of earth, really thinned earth like that, do wonders. Just get really liberal with the isopropyl alcohol, feathering it out the paint spots and blotches. Let it run where it wants, and try to control the tide marks a little bit, but you know, let them work for you too. But see, I like that. This is an old unit. Actually, this original unit, before it was refinished, was far worse than this. I have four. It was just, but I don't want to do that with this model. I want to leave the more distinctive CN zebra stripe there. But she's coming along pretty good, eh? I'm liking it so far. Yeah. Don't be afraid to flood isopropyl alcohol. Make sure you take the body off the chassis though. You don't want all this running down into all the gears. And yeah. Really liking that. Okay, thanks for tuning in.